Hey guys, John here, and welcome back to the Synthmaster 3 tutorial course. Today we're taking a look at one of my favorite modulation sources, and that is the Step LFO. Now this modulation source is perfect for making looping rhythmic type sounds, whether we're just sending saw waves through it or noise or something like that. So let's start from a fresh preset and let's start doing some stuff here. So let's go to the gear icon, select this, go to add new, and then here let's select Step LFO. And for our frequency cutoff, we're going to bring this down to maybe somewhere around there. And let's drag and drop this here for some modulation and take a listen. Now this might be a little bit slow and I want this also synced to my BPM. And right now, if we hit sync, we're gonna be synced to 120 because that's my project BPM at the moment. And let's make this a little bit faster, something like an eighth note. And maybe something with a kick drum. So we already have something rhythmic going on here. Now what's really cool is we can start to come in here and change the curve. So we can bring the first one down, maybe the third one down, and the fourth one, let's bring this one up, and then maybe the sixth, we could bring this down, and the seventh will change just a little bit like that. And now let's take a listen. Now you probably noticed that this highlighted section here is starting to loop. So this is a really cool feature if we want certain sections of this to just loop over and over and over. And we can change this. We can go over here on it with our mouse and hover it, and it's going to change the icon. We can drag this to the left. Maybe we want to loop the entire thing. Or maybe we want the first two to kind of be original and then start looping on this third one. Or we could just loop on 7 and 8, something kind of like that. Now, if we don't want to do this with a mouse, we can always do this with the loop start. So we can go here with our mouse wheel and scroll that way, or we can select from the list that way. Now, you'll notice that we have 8 steps, and if this isn't enough for you, then we can go to our steps and we can go to a maximum of 32, which is quite a lot. And you might also notice this might be a little bit difficult to edit, which is why we have a magnifying glass. So here you can open it up and edit it in a bigger window here. And you'll also notice that we have all our controls here, as well as the envelopes, which we already discussed previously, and also more options here on the left-hand side. And to close this, we just hit the X button just like that. So for now, let's change this back to 8 steps, and we also have a gate. And we also have lag as well if we want to round off some of these shapes as well. And if we'd like to add a little bit of randomness, we have a convenient random knob right here. So from a fresh preset, let's talk about the step divisions, which is a really cool feature to have. So down here on the gear icon, let's select this here, go to add new, and then down here to Step LFO, and let's bring our frequency cutoff to maybe somewhere around here. And we're going to drag and drop this here for some modulation, and it sounds like this. Now for this demonstration, I do want this to be synced to my tempo, which again is 120. So we're going to go ahead and hit sync, and then we're going to scroll up here to 1/8 and probably loop the entire thing and maybe change out some of these curves as well, something like that. Bring this one up and down, and maybe bring this one just to make these a little bit different. Now we can also select on these boxes to bring these up or down if we'd like to here at the bottom as well. So maybe you can bring this one down a little bit, maybe bring this one kind of up and kind of make it just a little bit different like that. And now we have this. Now you might notice that underneath each one of these steps, we have a number 1. So let's say, for example, on step 3, we go to this 1 and we hover our mouse over it and we scroll upwards and we see a 1/2. Now, essentially what is going to happen is that once it reaches this third step, it's going to play this shape twice. So let's take a listen to that. Now, if we slow this down quite a bit here to maybe 1/2, and then for this guy, let's bring this up to 4, or sort of 1/4. Now, on this third step, once it gets here, it's going to play this 4 times. And without the kick drum. And an easy way to think about this is whatever the denominator is how many times it's going to play this. So if we brought this back down here again, and then for the 1/4, we can go 1/3, and you guessed it, it's going to play it 3 times here. And and so on and so forth. So for this one, if we brought this to 1/2, and let's maybe increase our speed once more to 1/8, and maybe change this to 1/4, this last one, 1/2, that might be kind of interesting. And here we already have some cool shapes here. Now, if we went to our voices and started increasing this, maybe something like 10, turned on free, and spread these out a little bit, detuned them, and now take a listen. We can have some really, really cool stuff that way. Now, we already covered what the crossfade does, but I do think we should go over this one more time, especially in this case. So essentially, crossfade allows us to have two different LFOs that we can crossfade between each other, which is really, really interesting. Now, by default, this is going to be on single. However, we can scroll with our mouse wheel and go to double, and we might not notice much has changed until we drag our mouse over the display here, and it's going to look a lot different. Now, we could edit it in this window if we want to. However, we can also go to the magnifying glass and edit it that way. So we did something on the second one, something kind of obvious like this here, maybe make these first four really, really wide like that. So we have the first one on the top and the second one here on the bottom. Now what's cool is once we start changing this crossfade, we can see that it crossfades to the second shape and here's on the first shape, so on and so forth. And let's take a listen. So this might be a very, very interesting knob to modulate. And again, we also have parameters here that we've covered as we've been talking about the LFOs, such as the bipolar mode, the trigger modes, or the envelope mode right over here. Now, make sure to check out the previous LFO videos if you're curious about how those features work. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you learned something, and we'll see you in the next one.